Respect is earned, not given. Machiavelli would never beg the price of begging for dignity. There's a silent tightness in the chest of one who extends a hand, offering crumbs of attention in the hope of reaping crumbs of respect. This gesture discomfits the soul, as if you saw yourself kneeling before a garden that doesn't even know your name, casting flowers upon ground that doesn't recognize the seed's worth. You feel in each offered petal the weight of a need that screams louder than your own dignity, and this scream echoes within, reminding you that others' respect only flourishes when born from the firm ground of self-respect. Seneca would paint this scene with the colors of disappointment. The value of the seed lies in the one who casts it, not in the one who takes it. It's a reminder that, however generous the offering, it disperses if it's not anchored in the inner conviction of the planter, and so the hand that pleads ends up empty, while the heart learns that the only worth truly worth conquering is that which sprouts unasked, born without supplication. Epictetus, wise in holding mirrors to the mind, would remind us that others' respect only has power if you accept it as an internal law. To what extent have you internalized external judgments as commands that shape your steps and silence your voice? Every yes spoken too soon is another brick in the invisible prison of one who believes they need permission to exist. And in the silence of this question arises the provocation that echoes in every fiber of your being. Have you been building your authority or begging for permission to merely survive? At this meeting point between fear and courage lies the will to discover the true price of dignity, a price that, when charged from within, yields the respect that is never begged for. 1. The hidden wound of self-depreciation. There's a subtle shame that clings to the chest of one who seeks validation where it doesn't flourish, as if you carried an invisible ton of doubt with each breath. In the silence of the hours, you catch yourself asking permission to exist, retreating even before making your presence felt, as if your voice needed authorization to resonate. This pattern of apologizing before speaking clothes the soul in a heavy mantle of self-censorship, pushing it into the shadows, where one's own worth seems to dilute with every plea for permission. And by giving space to those who don't even call you to dialogue, you amplify the echo of a wound that prefers concealment to confrontation, remaining a prisoner of an "I don't deserve" that should never have formed. Do you remember how many times you renounced your own worth to avoid losing fragile affections, yielding ground to the fear of rejection? Every false step turns into a secret wound, for what was offered in excess returns as veiled rejection, confirming that others' respect is volatile when born from crumbs of attention. And in an attempt to fill the empty space within yourself, you become a spectator of your own life, watching the fading of colors that were once vibrant and intent. This longing for belonging reveals a profound imbalance between the desire to feel accepted and the feeling that your worth only exists when attested by others. However, it is precisely in this hidden wound that the spark of change resides. By recognizing the weight of self-depreciation, you learn to listen to the echo of your own strength, to perceive that true belonging blossoms. Position yourself without fear of exposing your conviction. The impulse to seek recognition ceases to be a plea for emotional alms and becomes the authentic expression of your non-negotiable worth. And the moment you allow this perception to flourish, the wound begins to heal, revealing fertile ground where respect is not begged for, but conquered with the gentle firmness of one who has already learned to honor their own dignity. 2. The misunderstood Stoic, virtue without a voice. The silence that envelops those who confuse humility with self-censorship weighs like a veil that darkens inner brilliance. That cautious retreat, laden with good intention, transforms into an echo of unspoken words and lost opportunity. For virtue, when silence shrinks instead of expanding, you feel your body stiffen at the thought of your voice breaking the space, as if the very air denied passage to what needs to be done. And in this intimate clash, the impression arises that integrity demands retraction, when in reality it yearns for liberation. Seneca, in his Serenity, would warn that virtue without expression is like a river hidden beneath the earth, imposing in potential, but wasting its strength by not finding the surface. Every value kept deep within one's being cries out for a channel of manifestation, asks for a gesture that makes it real. When virtue is silent, the world moves on unaware of its reach, and you, for fear of irritating others' wave, keep your ideas contained in underground currents, watering a bed of possibilities that will never see bloom. What if true strength wasn't in shouting louder, but in speaking with the firm backing of your own judgment? Coherence strengthens when words are born aligned with the heart. Without needing spotlights or audience, you find the courage to articulate what matters in the exact tone, feeling in your body the gentle vibration of one who connects with their own conviction. In this rhythm, the voice rises without arrogance, and every sentence laden with authenticity reverberates like a deep call. Thus, the Stoic unveils the secret. It's not volume that commands respect, but the silent confidence of one who speaks moved by their own truth. 3. Breaking expectation. Moral complacency as a trap. In every hesitation to act, there's an instant when you pause to weigh your choices with an inflexible internal ruler, and this instant prolongs itself until it becomes a prison. You find yourself plotting every step so carefully that by the time it's time to move, it's already too late. This toxic cycle of self-criticism paralyzes you even before you take the first step, creating a labyrinth of what-ifs where action silently fades away, leaving only the echo of the fear of failure. It's like trying to cross a river by measuring every stone without ever feeling the water on your feet. While you focus on evaluating each stone, its size, its stability, its distance, the current carries your dreams downstream. The analogy reveals the trap of moral complacence. The pursuit of the perfect decision prevents natural progress, and the ideal of always acting right turns into an obstacle to any move. Such an internal ruler might have been sculpted by you or inherited from ancient voices that never drank from the river of their own experience. Are the demands that block your steps a result of your truth or mere external impressions that infiltrated your consciousness? This intimate reflection calls you to recognize the origin of your own limits, questioning whether it's worth carrying a morality that hinders as much as it liberates. Identifying this trap is awakening to a new sense of courage, the ability to act even when the internal ruler still vibrates with doubt. By taking the first step, you demonstrate that virtue doesn't have to be synonymous with immobility, but can flourish in the act of crossing the river, feeling the water on your feet, and embracing life as it flows in constant change. 4. Practical exercise, the silent ascent. Start the day with an internal scan, noting 3 of your qualities that don't need external validation, like courage, empathy, and persistence, creating a personal almanac that acts as a shield against the urge to beg for emotional permission. By recording these virtues on paper, you establish a solid foundation of self-knowledge, making each note a reminder that your worth exists independently of others' opinion. And at the end of the day, revisit these pages in a low voice, recalling the small victory, firm decision, gentle gesture, the sincere word, reaffirming that your authority stems from the respect you already cultivate internally. This nightly ritual seals your commitment to your dignity, transforming simple habits into a continuous process of ascent where respect is not begged for, but rooted in the silence of your own strength. 5. Revealing metaphor, the tree that doesn't beg for wind. Imagine an ancient tree standing tall on deep roots that extend like firm fingers into the soil, keep stable, without ever begging for the wind's breath to lift its canopy. It grows in silence, nourished by the constant encounter between the earth and its own trunk. And when the wind finally arrives, it bends with grace, but does not yield to the whims of the current. This tree teaches us that respect is earned by strengthening oneself at one's own base, nourished by values that spring from within, not by external winds that come and go according to others' convenience. What roots do you need to nurture today to stand tall without seeking anyone's approval? In this gentle question, you find the invitation to pay attention to inner virtue, honesty, courage, self-control, which, like root, will sustain your presence and naturally command respect without the urgency of begging for permission or attention. When your inner roots grow in firm soil, your every gesture becomes a robust branch, casting shade and welcome gaining silent admiration, the kind that doesn't impose itself but is offered by the testimony of an integral existence, forging the respect that springs from you. Seneca reminds us that external applause does not define your greatness, but the inner firmness that sustains your step. And this truth echoes like a breath traversing your inner being, renewing your commitment to your own authority. When your actions are born from the fertile ground of solid values, respect arrives without the need for pleading, rising like a natural harvest from one who has already planted conviction in their heart. Marcus Aurelius would whisper that the true emperor is he who commands his own heart, highlighting the strength that arises from internal discipline and daily integrity. Every gesture, guided by the coherence between thought and action, becomes a silent coronation, proving that the deepest leadership is exercised without a visible crown, but with the unshakable posture of one who governs their own mind. Silent victory reveals itself when you discover that respect earned in silence echoes louder than 1,000 clamors. This inner echo, nurtured by self-awareness and compassion, shapes a presence that doesn't beg, but imposes itself through the solidity of principle. If you didn't need to prove anything to anyone, how would you choose to position yourself today?